Let me get a closer look at those bad boys.
Because Jordan suddenly cares about
Ooh.
shoes.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Going off of horror for our third topic, we kind of just now going into, I guess, 4 topics instead of 3. Our favorite horror game. This will be pretty quick, but what are those horror games that you've played that have really like stuck with you? Because, like I said, I'm a big horror fan. Ethan, I know you, like me and you, have literally spent hours at my house talking about like horror movies and games and stuff.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
for me, I guess I could kick it off. For me, 2 honorable mentions I want to give. The first Dead Space, which I already mentioned, that game, Jordan, do you remember when I played that in your garage, like freshman year of high school or whatever, and I literally threw your controller? I was so scared.
Yeah.
That first Dead Space, that game still I think is a great corridor horror game. Also, like I've mentioned it a lot, but shout out to Outlast.
Yeah.
That game was so weird because that was one of the first games that I really wanted to stop playing because I was scared, but I couldn't stop playing because the story was really engaging. And I thought that was great because in the past we've seen horror games that have engaging stories, but that was something I think instead of like your Five Nights at Freddy's, which is, to be honest, kind of just more of an atmosphere thing, this was a horror game that was giving you awesome atmosphere, but also a awesome story to back it. And it's like I was going into those dark rooms that I didn't want to go in so I could find like the journal pages and stuff because I wanted to know what was happening with that story. But my favorite horror game, I don't even know if you guys would count this, but I'm just going to say it. My favorite horror game, gaming experience, whatever you want to say, is actually PT.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it wasn't a full game, but that, whatever you want to call it, demo, game, trailer, whatever you want to call it, was the best, and I played a lot of horror games, probably the best executed horror I've ever played. Not only just because the game was beautiful, but that has nothing to do with it. It's what I was saying. The atmosphere was so spot on. The baby in the refrigerator, the phone it was things that aren't scary, that were scaring the crap out of me just because I didn't know what was happening next, So I'm like on the edge of my seat, like what the hell is going to happen? And a phone rings, and I'm like jumping. I'm like, what the hell,
Yeah.
I think it kind of lost it with those puzzles at the end just because it got confusing. And
Well, that's just Kojima.
I mean, yeah, and I'm still devastated that that game got canceled, and I'm pretty sure there's no way that they're going to let that IP go. I mean, the industry is going to let that IP go. Whether or not it's going to live on as Silent Hill or whether it's going to just Kojima and Del Toro or it's going to take the concepts from PT and move it into, whatever they want to call it, which I don't care if they can call it freaking Marshmallow Land, and I'll still play. Like, I don't care what it's called. That experience itself.
Marshmallow Land.
Yeah, dog. That experience for me is probably my favorite horror game or gaming experience because I was so scared. Like I still go back. I don't know if you guys have gone back and played. I didn't delete it from my PS4. I still go back and play it sometimes, and it still gets me.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, if PT actually ends up like, like if they actually like announce like, okay, we're gonna like actually, make
Go through, yeah.
like go through with it. Can we make a petition to change the name to Marshmallow Land?
I'm down.
Anyway, I guess I'll go next.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like you already kind of stole my thunder here.
No, I mean if it's the same, it's the same.
No, it's not PT. It's the first Dead Space. For the same reasons you discussed, because I think that for me, that was kind of the game that made me a believer in horror games, because I honestly can't really think of one that I played before that I really liked, except maybe Resident Evil 4 if you want to count that. I liked that game, but I didn't like...
It's got a good horror element to it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I liked that game a lot, but that was when I was like 12, so I didn't really remember it. Dead Space I got, I think, a few years after the fact, maybe like 2010 or something. And I just remember, I think someone recommended it to me, and I was like, oh, what the heck is this? I had never heard of this. And I just like look up some trailers from like, oh my god. And then like that intro cutscene when you're just like floating towards the ship, and
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, this is gonna be like fucking ridiculous.
Well, I mean, honestly, even Dead Space 2, when they moved on to like the mental health stuff.
I think that one was a better game, but it's not my favorite.
Oh no, me either.
Yeah, I think it was better, but it wasn't as scary. I think the monsters and stuff were cooler, but I still like the first one more.
The atmosphere of the first one was
It's
better
like,
executed.
dude, I still remember this one specific part where I think I was in like the botanical gardens or something, and it was those things that have like the glowing sacks that blow up when they hit you. Those
Oh
skinny-
yeah.
And I just remember that I ran into one of those for the first time, and I was so freaked out that there was going to be another one that I was just like, no, I gotta stop for tonight. I just can't. That was one of the only games I've ever had to like stop because I was too scared.
Yeah,
that's
that
probably.
game.
But yeah. That's my favorite.
E. What about? I mean, I just going off. Like, I remember when the Dead Space 2 demo came out, and you and I played it at your house. We couldn't. I mean.
Oh, me.
Yeah, when we played.
Yeah,
when we played it in your garage, we couldn't. We could barely make it through the demo.
Yeah, dude, I remember that. That was great. Yeah.
E. What about you?
I mean, I feel like there's some game I'm like forgetting that's
You can go
like.
for honorable mentions if you
Where
want.
I'm just
to.
like, oh my god, this one. Like, I feel like there's just some game that I probably played. I mean, I guess if it was really good, I feel like I shouldn't have forgotten it. But, I mean, in recent memory, though, honestly, PT was like probably the best, like, you know, horror game, I guess, or I've played. I mean, that really gave me the heebie-jeebies. Shouts out though to the Forgotten Ones for being hands down one of the worst horror games I've played.
The
I never even heard of
Forgotten
that.
Ones? What is that?
It's a game on Steam you can get. It's a
Was it bad?
Half-Life mod. Or
Oh, that already
Okay.
made me sad.
source
Yeah,
game. A source game. Dude, it was killing me. Like me, Tim, and Chili would play it last year in their room, and I just like it was the funniest thing. Like I regret not recording playing that game.
Also, side note, I can't be the only one who thinks Slender is complete garbage.
I was just gonna say that, dude. That game.
I don't want to discount and say it's garbage. I think
It
it's got
scared me the
scary.
first like 2 times.
well. Well, the thing is it's of course it got like it got overdone. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
don't know.
it became like a meme, and then
Well,
it got overdone. Like I mean, like it was just like a little like shitty game that someone made, and they were like, oh, this is spooky and like fun.
PewDiePie played it probably, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
and then like
so
and then like that happened. Yeah.
So like,
Sure.
I'll tell you why the game's scary. It's not scary, and it's not a very well done horror game. But I'll tell you what scared me about it was when I found out about Slender Man. Like I'd never heard of it. It was sophomore year, and Katie, who is now my girlfriend for people who don't know, but this was before we were dating. We were talking on Facebook, and she like told me all this stuff about Slender Man. Like, oh, like she sent me those
I
pictures
remember.
of like him in the background and shit like that. And I was getting really freaked out because I was watching the Marble Hornets web series. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's like with
Yeah.
Slenderman.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's really well done. And I was watching it, I was like getting freaked out. And then I got a message from like Slenderman Facebook, like naming like things in my room, like what color blankets and shit I had. And I remember I turned off my computer, and I was freaking out, dude. I was like, and
I think you called me because you were
I
so
called
scared.
you. I was freaking out, dude. And then it turns out it was Katie the whole time. Oh, but because of that, like I remembered that like, how fucking scared I was. And when I played Slender, I was like remembering that. But then after like 1 or 2 times, when you realize if you
I mean,
just
it gets
slowly,
stale. It gets
if you
stale
just-
like immediately.
no, it's after I realized if I just slowly tap S, like if I'm looking at him and slowly tap S to go backwards, he's not gonna get me. So I was like, oh, okay. And then like I'm doing that, and I realized that he's just a 2D sprite.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, nah. Chris, you want to weigh in?
Sure. Good scary games for me were PT was a really fun one. I liked playing it at your house. It was really cool. Going to the throwback, Silent Hill 2 is always like the greatest.
Oh,
man,
like,
I keep-
everyone
I
needs to
wanna-
aspire to do.
I wish I had played that because I feel like a scrub talking about horror games and not having played that.
We have that at my
Like-
apartment, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm not a huge horror game fan, but I had to play that because I'm a video game fan and it deserves the respect. And the original Dead Space and
Damn.
original Fear were really
Original
good.
Fear
Never
is-
fear.
Original Resident Evil, which I haven't played all of, but I played like.
You know what's a good game? Sorry to comment,
No, go,
comment
go.
on this. Is SCP Containment Breach?
Yeah.
Is this another? Are you serious?
No, yeah, that's a good horror game. No, it really is. Yeah,
What is
it's pretty
it?
good. It's
I
like an
haven't heard of it.
indie sort of. I mean, it's like it's definitely an indie. But like, have you ever seen pictures of like that weird little stone totem guy with like paint on his face?
Mm.
Isn't that a game where you just like walk down the stairs?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about, dude.
SCP Containment Breach. What were you saying, Jordan?
That's like when you like walk down stairs mostly, right?
No, I don't think so. It's
What
like a
game was
game.
that?
It's a game where it's a weird story to the game, but you're like a agent. Well, you're actually a criminal who's like been hired by the government to work in this like prison. It's not like a prison. It's like a containment area where they keep the most dangerous like supernatural things ever in this like thing, and like you're specifically supposed to watch over this certain one of these multiple things, and it's that stone little guy, and it's like technically a sentient statue, and like all these like different things in this like containment like prison have like different abilities and stuff, and eventually like basically all of them break out, and so you go through this entire place with all these different like, and they're not all like sentient creatures. Like one of them is a book and stuff that makes you go insane. Like
What the hell?
they're all like different like supernatural items. It's really cool and unique, I think. I mean, graphically it's not that great, but you know,
Looks like a
That's-
Source game.
That's
Yeah.
on PC.
it's on Steam. Yeah, the
Oh.
little statue guy. It's cool because like the little like one of the things is the little statue guy. He can only like move or whatever and like kill you when you're not like
Not
looking at him.
right?
But like you can like there's a blink factor in the game, so you have to blink. So every time you
God.
blink, he can move super fast and stuff.
Oh, dude,
You, like-
I'll check that out. What's that called again?
SCP Containment Breach.
I'm gonna check that out. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
A dragon.
So- I mean, happy Halloween to our friends, our families, our the Halo 5 people who already got off of this video because I said the game sucks. Hey, we're up to 9.5 subscribers now.
Okay.
We're making it back. We're making
We're
it
on
back.
our way.